We'll get you going with scores from around Southern California. It all started last night as Siskiyous was able to pull ahead over Sequoias of the North. 49-16 final score. So now we'll get you the scores of the South. Cerritos, a 3-point squeaker at El Camino. 29-26 final there. Over in right near Los Angeles, Long Beach City College. Winners of every football game this season improved to 6-0 with a 31-21 double-digit victory over Allen Hancock College. And meanwhile, in Citrus College, it was a Bakersfield football team that only wins their second game of the season, 17-14 at Citrus College. Meanwhile, against Saddleback and Canyons, it is the Gauchos that have pulled ahead and are looking to win their third game of the year, 24-13 in that one. Orange Coast and L.A. Pierce, that one's pretty much in the books. Orange Coast with a 28-3 halftime advantage. Meanwhile, against Chaffee Santa Ana, it's a 9-point advantage for Santa Ana.
Oh, shit. And a fight has broken out here at RCC College. It's a riot.
I can't even believe this.
It's between the players, actually. And this is bad.
This is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
Brock Carmen of the Tigers was ejected from a fight earlier on in the football game, and this is becoming about as bad as it gets here between two elite programs. The emotions are flaring here on the road. The police are on to the field looking to separate a couple of football players. You got to believe that there will be ejections intact for next week's football game. The crowd is on their feet here. Again, thank you for keeping it locked for a post-game report here for JuCo Football. We'll get you details as soon as we have it. But fists were flying and emotions were out of control. I mean, post-game,
wow.
You have all the players clapping hands at midfield, and there were a couple that clapped a little more than hands down there at the far sideline.
I didn't get to see what started it. I just heard the PA guy yelling for help, asking for RCC officials, RCC cops to come down. I see the a bunch of police coming down the hill now onto the field. And this one is just finished with a bang, I would say. I mean, it's not something we like to see or talk about, but hey.
Literal bang.
Riverside is coming out a little bit too overly aggressive, too much swagger, too much talk right now. I'd like to indicate.
Remember the penalties. Remember the fight early on in the half. I mean, it's about as sloppy of a 4-1 start that Riverside, who's dominated all sorts of competition at home, about as sloppy as it gets. We'll get you stats right now, but the most important thing is details from a fight, and hopefully things are situated between, I'm sure, a Riverside and Fullerton football player. I mean, that's ridiculous. Tom Kraft got to gather his team and quit some of these off-the-field issues, but we finished the game with Riverside defensively maintaining their dominant football, now giving up a measly 18 points per game defensively. It has been a stalwart start to that Riverside defense. They've forced that top-flight Fullerton rushing attack off of 22 carries to only gain 15 yards rushing. And now,
that is tough. When
you add what what Riverside has done in conference play, how about only allowing in 120 minutes of football, they've only given up 13 yards rushing.
That is so impressive. That number right there screams out so much. 48 carries, 247 yards for RCC.
And that's the contrast.
That is just big time. And you got to give credit to Nicholas King, who also got involved. I mean, the guy had 8 rushes for 53 and a touchdown. Big time there. And he continues his stellar passing right here. 23 of 34, 322 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Flawless, I would say.
Well, Denzel Foster ran for 238 yards in their Week 6 win against Fullerton in 2013. Similar scenario here is in 2014. He does run for, I guess, according to his standards, only 167. But when you add all the yardage gained from scrimmage, Denzel Foster combined for 231 yards overall, 238 in the game against Fullerton last year. But For the people who were listening about a few minutes ago, there was a fight right there at the 40-yard line of the visiting team. And, Dan, how as a coach do you resurrect some sort of an off-the-field issue like that?
Well, you've got to lay down the law. If I'm the coach, I'm going into that locker room. I'm not giving a victory speech. What I'm doing is I'm scolding whoever caused it. I'm going to find out who was the cause of it. And, hey, you've got to hand down maybe possibly suspensions.
That's right.
Hey, that's the only way this type of a matter is handled. You don't let it slide, especially after a victory, and a victory that was a moral victory.
We have to clear the stands, ladies and gentlemen. Want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. One great football game. All of Riverside people.
Yeah,
we got to clear these stands. Thank you very much for your cooperation. This is how we do it in Riverside. You know what I mean? Everybody have a great weekend.
So as the police stand on the field, making sure that both sides just clear the field. Fullerton's walking to their locker room. RCC's walking to their locker room. And
we'll go ahead and give our final remarks real quick, though, guys.
Let's continue.
Again, thank you for joining us on Spreaker.com's own National Sports. Couple players of the game, Dan. Who do you got?
Player of the game? Well, I got to go with my boy Nicholas King, who I called an official starter last week, even before it was official. He went 23 of 34, 322 yards passing, and 3 big-time touchdowns.
Nicholas King has resurrected a quarterback situation that was for the dumpster fire. And King also, when you add 53 yards on the ground, he adds a very much-needed running element to this football team.
All right, now RCC is allowed to go into their locker room. Let's hope nothing else occurs.
And nothing. I mean, the emotions have tied over. This is a Juan football team, but when you add, I think part of what made Nicholas King so great is a highly touted wide receiver, Isaac Whitney. Off-the-field issues continue. Isaac Whitney finishes the day with 10 catches, 126 yards as well, Dan. So receiving the football, no problems for the 6'2" sophomore.
Yeah, I mean, a guy who's just absolutely flat-out emerged as the go-to guy for Nicholas King. It seems like every time he gets the ball to Nicholas King, Isaac Whitney will come up with the catch. I don't think he had a drop pass tonight.
And you take a look defensively, Riverside dominant in that one, but a man who's starting to come into the fold, freshman linebacker A.J. Hodgkins. You mentioned Jonah Moy being dominant, but I think he has helped make A.J. Hodgkins into one of the best run-stuffing players of the football team. Over the last 2 weeks, he's led the team with 20 combined tackles and 11 here tonight.
Yeah, and I want to bring up something that RCC has struggled with, and that's the third down conversion. Decent percentage, 53%, 8 of 15 on third down conversions, but a lot better than previous weeks.
Night and day. It really is.
You got that right, man.
After 25% third downs coming in, they've entered league play with right around 40. They have resurrected that third down percentage. I mean, again, night and day. But when you take a look at what Fullerton has in front of them, I mean, they still have to play a number of premier colleges, including Saddleback. They still have on their schedule. We struggled against them a few weeks ago. And, I mean, despite the fact that they are still favored to win their respective conference, they have faced the best of the best in both Mount Sac and Riverside.
Right.
And they, frankly, just against the premier teams, at least this year, did not have the talent to match the effort.
I still wouldn't count them out of the playoffs, so I'm talking about Fullerton. And going back to Riverside now, Riverside still has a lot of things to clean up, and that's disciplinary things. Again, the lack of discipline shown with that
Take a look at the penalties.
Yeah, little riot going on.
Right. And they had 2 ejections if you include the riot at the post game. 20 penalties today for 121 yards.
Yeah.
And some of the gaffes late in the football game with the fumbles where you really just needed to seal the football game, uncalled for. Talented football team. Don't get me wrong.
My final thought for this RCC team and game was successful on offense, successful on defense, but let's clean up the small things. Let's clean up the penalties.
Those are fixable, though, which makes it very comforting moving forward for this football team that's now 4-1 and on the inside track of the playoffs.
That's for sure, Nick.
but we still have Mount Sac and Long Beach on the schedule. We'll get you final standings and scores from around the junior college world. Again, thank you for listening to the National Sports Radio Station. We'll be live in a week from tonight as we take on LA Harbor in Los Angeles, California. Final standings here out of the National Central Conference. It's a three-headed race for the playoffs. Only 2 get in as Mount Sac and Long Beach lead the pack. Currently, Long Beach sitting pretty at 6-0, and the leaders of the National Central Conference. Meanwhile, at 5-1 are the Mount Sac Mounties, and another battle between one-loss teams. Mount Sac at 5-1, and Riverside after this win is now 4-1, and it's a three-headed running attack here, Dan. And I mean, I understand that we still have yet to play either team, but moving forward, you got to give Riverside as much of a chance as any.
You do, and it's only because of that monster defense that they have, a team that hasn't allowed a single score in the end zone on their home turf until tonight. And that's because of a turnover.
That was garbage time, though. I will give you that. 36-13, they turned off the scoreboard. It is the final here from Wheelock Stadium, and we'll call that one it here. For Dan Gadino and the National Sports Broadcast crew, I'm Nick Rice signing off here in Wheelock Stadium. It is yet another dominant victory, now 2-0 in conference play and 4-1 on the young Riverside season. We'll see you a week from tonight here in Los Angeles as we take on the LA Harbor Griffins. It's a nice little ending to what was a great football game, guys. Thank you very much, and have a good night.